So the big question is this. How entrepreneurs like us who have been breaking with old beliefs, like the idea of holding a 9-to-5 job and living paycheck to paycheck, taking a lifetime to reach business and life success as the only option we have? How do we grow our business in a way that lets us highly service our customers, getting our products and services and the things that we believe in out into the world without diluting our life but enhancing it and taking the journey of internal and external growth? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. Your host is Marina Simon, and welcome to 10 Exit. Life and business as usual? Never again.
Hi guys! Well, I am so happy to be here with you today. Today I was looking, okay, what can I communicate, and I thought about something that I've been observing through the past of the weeks and the months and, this whole thing. And it is the area of leadership. It's amazing what we're seeing up today. Disregarding, I don't have any viewpoint about parties or, at least I wouldn't communicate like if I have any viewpoint about, political parties or like big business, small business, Latins, Caucasians, I don't know. I just want to say it doesn't matter where you are in life. I have observed that there's an upside down value world running right now. And again, it doesn't matter where you are, religious, not religious, political, apolitical, party, not party, president one side, the other, Democrat, Republican, liberal, Latin, black, I'm Latin, Caucasian, Korean, Chinese, Japanese, it doesn't matter. My point, I guess, what I want to say is, if you are following what's happening, at least in the United States, and I think it's happening in many other countries too, there is a very severe lack of leadership. And what do I mean by that? Right? At least in the United States, we have the heads of certain states giving certain kind of orders, right? Because of the China virus, like, do not open your businesses, do not go out and eat outside, do not go out or be inside your house without a mask, do not invite households for more than 3 families, there's all these do not, stop living life, right? Independently of what's your viewpoint about the virus or not, what I've observed is that they are not leading by example, those leaders. They're being found eating in restaurants with all their friends and families. They're being found in less than 6 feet without masks. They're being found, inviting all their family together in Thanksgiving or going and doing their hair or, just any kind of part of life. There's nothing wrong with that. The only point that is wrong is asking to do something that you're not going to keep, but you're asking your citizens to do. That's the only point that I see from basic definition. A leader needs to lead by example. If you're giving a restriction, own it and you set the example, right? Now, if you're not leading by example, then your people are going to start not trusting you, right? And that position of leadership will be diluted. It doesn't matter the name of your post. If you're the mayor, if you're the governor, if you're whoever you are, right? It doesn't matter your name because the people will not give you the admiration or the respect. So leadership is something that is created and is won, right? So I want to share some stuff with you. And it says, in order to get his job done, we're talking about the leader, right? An executive must be someone from whom others are willing to take orders. Do you think that our citizens are willing to take orders from those governors that are just doing whatever they want and closing businesses left and right and not allowing people to be together in Thanksgiving, Christmas? That is a time that, it's not even the significance of the times, which it is part of the culture of this country. But it's just the fact that it is the time when there is love, communication between groups and family. And stopping that, we're walking a very thin line, right? So are you willing to take orders of somebody like that? Like the governor, that says, shut your business, and you're not having a way to make any money? Or, when the big businesses are open and the little ones can't be open, there's no rationality. It opens the door to arbitraries. Now, the first test any follower of a leader requires the leader to meet is competence. Competence. Those governors and leaders of the states, some of them, especially the areas, of New York, California, etc., I'm not sure they're too competent. Does the leader know what he's doing? I don't know. This is already covered, in the definitions of an executive that we have covered on the prior podcast. So, if an executive meet the definitions of an executive to execute the orders, right, that he's doing, and do it with communication and with reason, those to whom he must give orders are very likely to receive them in confidence. There is a great deal of mystique, meaning, things that you can't define, qualifications or skills that set a person or thing apart and beyond the understanding of an outsider. So there's a lot of of mystique, right? Things that you cannot understand connected with leadership. Most of this mystique is nonsense, right? Because you can't define it. However, it is necessary that one who leads can attract attention and that he can create enthusiasm and interest in others. That is a leader, guys. It is necessary that the one who leads can attract attention, bam, right? And that he can enthuse and interest others. Simply knowing more about the subject than others or knowing more about organization than others can cause an executive to be regarded respectfully or even with awe. Also, you have to have some kind of knowledge, a little bit more than the group that you're trying to lead. Again, I'm talking about governments because right now we're in the middle of a crazy world war, right? But truly, this applies to businesses, right? If you're trying to lead your group, you better be more wise than your group, right? Let's see that you have your receptionists, you have the people that work for you. You have to have some kind of idea of what are they doing in order to lead them correctly, to have more knowledge, more understanding, right? If you're the owner of a chiropractic practice, you know your tech, right? How to do adjustments. Or if you're an eye doctor, you know how to do eye exams. But you better also know the rest of the admin areas a little bit more than the people you're hiring. A common denominator to all good executives is the ability to communicate, to have affinity for their area and their people, and to be able to achieve a reality on existing circumstances. Okay, what does that mean? If you have the ability to communicate, you can give orders more clearly, right? Either it's a business or it's a government. If you can't communicate clearly, if you're saying march to the right and you yourself are marching to the left, your communication is kind of opposite to what you're doing. And that doesn't communicate right. Also, you have to be able to care and love the people and the area you're dealing with. As an owner of your business, you have to have some affinity for the people that work for you, right? And for the area. Now, what about those, in power that hate the people, guys? How can you lead hating your own people? It's just crazy. And their people, and to be able to achieve a reality on existing circumstances. A reality is agreement, right? If you cannot understand the people, you can't lead them. If you cannot understand the people you hire, you can't lead them. You have to have some level of understanding, reality, agreement on what does that person is thinking. Doesn't mean agree with them, but it means understanding on where they are. Let's say that you just hire a new employee and they're struggling with something. If you don't have and understand where is he standing at, you can't help them and train him. Okay? All this adds up to understanding. An executive who lacks these qualities or abilities is not likely to be very successful, either if you're government, either if you're a businessman. Right? If you don't have good communication with the people around you and the people that you're leading, if you don't have good reality and agreements with the people that you're leading, if you don't have love for the people you're leading, forget it. You can't be a leader, guys. Now, understanding added to competence is probably the most ideal character of an executive. Right? If you have understanding and you have competence, then you have an ideal executive. Now, I want to see if we can find a good definition of competence. Competence is a pretty good word, I have to say, right? We all want to have competence in what we do, and that makes us a good leader. Competence is a key thing to us in life. I'm trying to see if we can find a good definition here. Competence. Okay. So competence of a person is in direct ratio to his degrees of consciousness and their awareness of their environment. Competence is directly proportional to those two things. Right? So consciousness and awareness. So don't expect a half knocked out druggie to be very competent. If he's drugged, well, he's not going to be very competent. He's going to mess up. He's handling machinery. He's going to mess up the machine. He won't be. Now, similarly, the insane are all degrees on competence, right? You have a kind of cookie person. He's not competent, right? You have a druggy person. He's not competent. You have to have awareness up, consciousness up to be competent. There has been some of the most brilliant geniuses who are utterly, screamingly insane, guys. There have been some of the dumbest people that were utterly screaming insane. It has nothing to do with it. It's not on the same scale. We're dealing now with the scale of, of not being good mentally as the scale of competence. So let's see if we find something else here on competence. When a person is competent, nothing can shake his pride. The world can yell, but it doesn't shake him. You see that? Competence is not a question of one person being more clever than another. It is one being more able to do what he's doing than another is. Being competent means the ability to control and operate the things in the environment and the environment itself. When you see things broken down around the mechanic who's responsible for them, he's plainly exhibiting his incompetence. Have you seen people that everything they touch is in bad condition? They're incompetent. Have you seen by the other side people, normally will be you guys, right, the entrepreneurs, that everything that you touch, everything runs right, and if something is broken, you guys fix it. That really explains and shows your competence, right? If a person can or doesn't have the ability to control those things in his environment and adjust the environment for what he's responsible, let's see the motors, if he's a mechanic, then he's incompetent. When you see somebody's, vehicle broken up, he doesn't have the control of his environment. The know-how, attention, and the desire to be effective are all part of the ability to control the environment. Okay, so that is competence, and competence have to do with what? With two things, guys. And remember that if it's only the only thing that you get out of this podcast, competence is directly related with consciousness and awareness. So the more aware you are, the more conscious you are, the more competent you will be. And that goes for hiring as well. Okay? So, understanding added to competence is probably the most ideal character of an executive. The ability to lead can also be compounded, so created out of forcefulness and demandingness. You also have to have sometimes a certain amount of force to give an order, right? And you have to demand what is needed. And these two qualities are often seen to stand alone in leadership without regard to competence. But they're nothing if there's no competence within you guys. Think about a leader that you really admired. Do you get it? It doesn't matter. It can be a leader in history. It can be a leader in your surroundings. It can be your parents. It can be, I don't know. Do you get it? Think about their level of competence. They were competent, right? That's what you admire. That is the key factor of being a true leader. When you look around, and people might not like the President of the United States in present time, but I tell you something, the guy is competent. And that's what it makes him a good leader. Look around different areas of government. Look around if people are competent. Do you respect them and look up as a leader or not? And that goes to businessmen. Does your staff it's not admiration, but does your staff looks up to you? It's because you're competent, guys, right? So the ability to lead can also be compounded of forcefulness and demandingness, and these two qualities are often seen to stand alone in leadership with regard to competence. And though acceptable to juniors, right, your staff, to the degree that they will obey, are no long-term guarantee for an executive supremacy. Only competence does. While they are often part of a successful executive's personality, they're not a substitute for other qualities and will not see him through. He must truly understand what he is doing and demonstrate competence on a long-term basis in order to achieve distinction and respect. So, at the end of the day, not the most strong forcefulness, the more strong demandingness, your angerness, or whatever it comes in is going to make you a good leader. Leaders are not fear, guys. Leaders are competent. People admire competence in other people. Again, do a little drill. Think about two people you admire. Can be in your family, can be in government, can be in business, can be friends. Think about two people you admire. Now, what did you admire on them? Can you see you admire their competence in whatever area they are? Can be in the humanities, can be in the arts, can be in the sciences, can be just on doing a simple thing. But they were competent. In all great leaders, there is a purpose, an intensity, which is unmistakable. Plus, there is a certain amount of courage required in a leader. I love this part. In all great leaders, there's a purpose, an intensity, which is unmistakable. Plus, there is a certain amount of courage required in a leader. So you have three things. The leader has a purpose. He has intensity. He doesn't give up. And he has courage to stand up for what he believes in. A man who merely wants to be liked will never be a leader. Listen to that. A man who merely wants to be liked will never be a leader. Others follow those who have the courage to get things done, even though they say they follow those they like. A broad examination of history shows clearly that men follow those they respect. Respect is a recognition of inspiration, purpose, and competence. Again, look at the people you admire. Do you respect them? Do they inspire you? Do they have a purpose? And are they competent? The qualities of leadership are not difficult to attain, providing they are understood. I hope it helps. All this amazing material that I'm sharing with you comes from Hubbard Management System, which is an amazing system of administration. Follow us in the podcast and learn more about it. It was a pleasure being with you today. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today on 10 Exit. Life and business as usual? Never again. We love always hearing from you. Please feel free to send Marina an email, marina@marinasimonbrand.com. Your input and comments are always welcome, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you like the podcast, you can always subscribe to it. Remember, the best way to predict the future is to create it.